Let's save that. I'm going to save it in my CSS trials, in game 1, in images, and this will be a turkey. Save. We're going to make a sprite. We're going to put the sprite on the screen. What properties should it have? Its position. It's the number one thing we need to know. Where is it? We need to tell the computer where to draw it. We just need to tell the computer where to make it. The where is important, how fast it's moving is important, the image that we're using is important, so all of these are important. So these are the things that we're going to use to define the turkey. We're going to go into the sprite, and we're going to make something. This is the first time you will see object-oriented code. This is an object we're making. We are going to make a turkey object, or a sprite object. I'm going to call it function. It's a function that we're making. Inside the function, we are going to call this sprite. We're going to define some variables. Now, we said the first important thing was its position. So I'm going to give it an x and a y. That's its position. What was the number 2 thing? Moving. It's speed. We're going to break the speed down into speed in the x direction and speed in the y direction. We're going to write it vx, v for velocity. Velocity in the x direction and velocity in the y direction. The other thing that we need to know is the image. What does the image source look like? So I'm just going to put in src for source. That's about it. Those are the things that we need to know. There's other things that we can put in later on, and as they come up, we'll put them in. This is our function. Inside the function, we're going to say this refers to, let's say we make a turkey. That's great, but let's say we make 10 turkeys. Each turkey is going to be an instance of this object. I'm going to make the instance variables for these variables. Okay, so I'm going to say this dot x is equal to x, and this dot y is equal to y. I'm just going to copy all that for vx. This velocity in the x direction and this velocity in the y direction is equal to this velocity, or vx and vy respectively. And then this dot image is equal to a new image. We're going to say this dot image dot source, src, is equal to src. Then I'm going to make, within that function, this is an object now, within that object I'm going to make a function for movement. I'm going to call it move equals function. It's this dot move. It's this instance. Like, so if you have, let's say you have 2 turkeys. One's turkey A, one's turkey B. So this would be turkey A's version of move. Turkey B's version of move will also be this as well. It's kind of weird. In the move, we are going to move the turkey around, and then we're going to draw the turkey. So I'm going to have this dot draw being a function as well for our sprite. This is all part of this sprite function. This is called a constructor for a sprite. So I'm going to copy the constructor. I'm going to go back into our game up here in the variables. I'm going to make a variable called turkey is equal to, down here I'm going to say turkey is equal to a new sprite. We're going to give it an x position, let's say 300 pixels, and a y position, 300 pixels. A velocity x, I'm going to give it 3, and a velocity of y, I'm going to give it a velocity of y of 0 to start with. And a source is going to be inside images, turkey.png. In the move, I'm going to tell the turkey to move. Turkey.move will be called. So the instance of this turkey that we've made, it will call its move function. Then we're going to tell the turkey to draw itself, turkey.draw. Inside the turkey.draw function, we actually have to draw the turkey. I'm going to have to do context, ctx.draw image. The name of our image is this.image, and then I'm going to put the x and y position. So this.x and this.y. Maybe it'll work. So let's take that. Let's go back into our game for a second. Yeah, we told the turkey to draw. We told the turkey to move. Should be working. Let's refresh this, and we should see a turkey appear right here. Token in start on Sprite JavaScript 9. Up here I spelled function wrong. Let's save that back into here. Let's see if it works. There's a turkey. We've got a turkey on the center of the screen. That's kind of big for what I want. But we'll just keep it at that size for a second. 200 by 200 pixels is kind of big. Notice it's not moving. Let's get it to move. We gave it a velocity, and in our move function, nothing's happening. Let's make the x. This dot x is equal to the old x, this dot x, added to whatever its x velocity is. So this dot vx. If its velocity is 3, every single time we cycle through here, I'm going to move it by 3 pixels. Its position is its old position, but we're adding the 3 to it over and over and over again. Let's save that, back into the game, watch what happens. Refresh. There it is. What's going to happen when it gets to the edge of the screen? It'll just keep going. okay? And that's the canvas, that's the edge of the canvas, so it's not being rendered anymore. We want it to bounce. If it gets to the one, well, there's a lot of things we could do. We could get it to bounce, that's one. We could have it appear on the other side of the screen. We could just say, if this dot x is greater than width, the width of the screen, which we just called width, make this dot x equal to 0. We could just do that. Gets to the edge of the screen, watch what happens. It didn't happen once it touched the other side, and once it disappeared on the other side, the whole turkey appeared here. Boom, the whole turkey's there instead of coming in from the outside. Maybe we want it to go off the screen by the width of the turkey. That's one of the things we don't know. We don't know the width of the turkey. So we could tell it right here. We could put in a number. We could say, I want the turkey to be only 50 pixels wide. I could make a variable for the turkey. I could say this dot width is equal to 50. This dot height is equal to 50. This dot width and this dot height, like that. So now I've redefined the width and the height of the turkey, and I've defined it down here. Now the turkey is 50 pixels by 50 pixels instead of 200 pixels by 200 pixels. When it gets to the edge of the screen, it just keeps going off the screen and appears over here. We could bounce it. I could say, if this dot x is greater than the width, I'm going to make this dot vx, its velocity in the x direction. I'm going to make its velocity change. If we go into the game.javascript, it said that its velocity in the x direction was 3, and the velocity in the y direction was 0. So the velocity is 3, so it's going 3 till it gets to the end of the screen, and you want it to bounce. So what should its velocity be now? -3. So we're going to make it the opposite of what it was. I'm just going to put a negative in front of this. Negative, this dot vx. So save that, then run that. Watch what happens when it gets to the end. Bounce. It bounces a little late. I want it to bounce a little earlier, so I want it to bounce at its width. I'm just going to subtract the width from the edge of the screen. If this x is greater than the width of the screen minus the width of the turkey, so this